So the Springbok women's side have finalised their preparations for the upcoming Women's 15s2 tournament to be held in Cape Town later on this month. Now this follows back-to-back wins over the Barbarians, having beaten them 59-17, and of course most recently South Africa beating Spain 36-19. And to add on to that, there's a new man in charge of the team, SA Rugby, having roped in Swys de Bruin as the team's performance coach. And let's speak to the man in charge of this team now via Zoom this morning, live from Cape Town. Swys, good morning. And thank you so much for your time this morning on the Weekend Report. I suppose you've had a couple of days to sort of reflect on that win against Spain in Cape Town. Were you happy with how your team delivered that performance despite the weather conditions in Cape Town?
Yeah, morning, Rachel. I must say, you just said the weather conditions. It was blistering. It was hard to play the brand we want to play, but then, we could focus on our forwards, and they did very well.
What is the brand of rugby that you want to instill in the Springbok women's rugby side?
Man, yeah, I've since all my life in this beautiful game of ours, total rugby was my emphasis, to play as much as possible. I always say I'd rather beat a team 40-30 than 10-9. So, we want to play, have fun, enjoy it, and especially with the ladies, they thrive it when when something great happens and they run into a gap or put someone away. Yeah, so that's the brand. I always said I want to attack and attack and attack more. And if they've got the ball, we attack them and try and get the ball. So I'm definitely not, I don't have a conservative mindset.
And the one thing, obviously, Swys, that you also spoke about in the build-up to this game against Spain was the importance of sort of trying different combinations in the right positions. Are you settled in those combinations? Are we likely to see you experiment more with the Women's 15s tournament starting in Cape Town?
Yeah, look, we sort of settled. It was very hard for the backs to showcase their talents under, the strong wind that was swirling in there. But I always said with 10 and 15, I like the way Pollard and Valileroux plays. Damian Willems is at 15, he comes in at 10 as well. And so for me, it's not only at 10 and 15. I like two playmakers. I like, if I put Nadine Roux as a 15 on her back and Libby van Rensburg a 15 on her back and swap around, doesn't really matter. So I'm not so set. I'm not a traditionalist when it comes to that fly-off play. You just play off 10. I like to swap the roles there. That's why the girls will get used to it. When I went through the game afterwards, I already saw good glimpses of where they understand what I want to do, but there's still a lot of work left going forward.
Yeah, going forward, you speak about that. Obviously, the next step now is the Women's 15s2 competition being hosted in Cape Town, South Africa, having hosted the competition last year in Stellenbosch. Talk to me about where you think this team is now, Swys, since you arrived as the performance coach, and what still needs to be done to get this team ready, essentially, for the bigger stage, of course, or the World Cup taking place in England next year.
Rachel, I'm so glad you mentioned the latter, the World Cup next year. That is our aim. It's all building blocks, this tournament now, and the test that going forward, is all part of to really excel and do well in next year. We must peak next year at the World Cup, not necessary now. We want to get the certain stuff right. We're process driven. We want certain components right and fix it now. It's all part of the process for the World Cup. But if our mindset is just on now, every test now, and just about winning, and not the process how to get there, then I think we'll run short, because it's a longer term goal for us. We want to do well, obviously, like we did in the first two tests. We want to play well. We want to get certain things right. But our aim is definitely to try and do well in the World Cup. Not try and do, we must go and do well next year in the World Cup.
You speak about wanting to do well, and the good thing about it is that you've got a great team of coaches behind you as well, Swys. Bafana Ntleko is part of your backroom staff. There's also Lorian Johannes, also part of your backroom staff, Frenzel September. The importance, though, of having a strong backroom staff to ensure that your team is able to give, firstly, the best performances at the Rugby World Cup next year, and, of course, just build up to the future, playing attractive rugby. How important is it to have a good team of coaches behind the scenes?
Very, very, very. It's, I'm definitely not an I coach. I'm a we coach. So Bafana won nowadays with the Lions Junior Cups, under 19 and under 20s. He's a very, very good coach, especially in defence. That's his department. And Lorien is so good with the pack of forwards. The scrumming is definitely there. And then Franzel is experienced. He just won the Currie Cup with Boland, so the first division. So he knows what he's doing. He's brilliant, in fact, as well. Part of my job, and it's important that you ask about the coaches, Rachel. A big part of my job is to coach coaches within the SA rugby system. You know, from the under 18, all the coaches. I want to make sure that I mentor them well, and that certain components that I've done all my life in coaching, I want to carry that on over to them and make sure that they must love it as well, and they must coach maximal. You know, it's not always the team. Coaches play such a vital role, and they are. I must say, I'm blessed with good coaches around me.
Yeah, just a final one before I let you go, the importance of this women's 15s competition. I mean, the good thing about it is that it means that the Springbok women's side is guaranteed at least 3 tests a year, with the inaugural edition having happened last year. Talk to us about, you know, what the focus is with this competition in Cape Town, how you want to see your team play, and again, building up to the future, building up to the World Cup next year. What is the main focus of this women's 15s tournament?
The focus, as I said earlier, is to get the process going and to play the style the brand that we want to play, and we want to get an interest of the public in women's rugby as well with how we play. If you play well and they love it, and the crowds and you know that the brand is so important for us to grow that within the South African system, from Rian Overalser and everyone, Dave Wessels, guys on top, you know what they all said. They give us the resources. They're behind us. They're making it priority. So this tournament coming now is vital, because that'll determine tell us where we rated as well in the World Cup ranking next year. At the moment we're 12th, and we would really love to come down to 10-9 if we can. But that means there's some of these teams coming up now, and all of them are much lower ranked than us. They on the World Cup ranking system, but that's the challenge we want. You know, if we can beat Japan and maybe sneak another win through there, our ranking will definitely improve. So it's more than just, you know, the better we rank, the better it'll be for the World Cup.
Yeah, and just a final one. I mean, we are running a expo question this morning asking about the Currie Cup final later on today between the Lions, your former team, as well as the Sharks. How do you see this Currie Cup final going?
Man, I just come back quickly. I'm so glad you asked about the Lions. It's still my team of. We know we spent glorious years there and with the Lions. So I was years back with the Sharks, but my heart and every passionate thing is with the Lions today. I must tell it to you. And the brand they started playing the last couple of months is the one we love, the one that I'm used to. And yeah, I wish them well for today. Go Lions.
Swys, thank you so much for your time this morning on the Weekend Report. Of course, Swys is the performance head coach for the Bok women's side. They're speaking to us about the importance of the women's 15s competition. Of course, touching, of course, on the final of the Currie Cup later on today. The stage, of course, for this Currie Cup being set between the Lions as well as the Sharks, taking place at the Ellis Park Stadium in Johannesburg this afternoon. Kickoff is at 4 p.m.